Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke with Reverend Yutaki Amada. Today is Thursday, the 3rd of February, and the 3rd of January in the 10th year of Chongil Guk. So let's begin, as always, with a bow to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents, Chariot. Kyombe, Paro. And let's recite our family pledge, both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가전맨세 5. 전일국 주인, 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 매일 주체적 전산세계와 대산적 지산세계의 통일을 향해 전진적 발전을 촉진할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 5. Our family, the owner of Chongil Guk, pledges to strive every day to advance the unification of the spirit world and the physical world as subject and object partners by centering on true love. I'd like to ask Mark Burfield if you could offer the opening prayer, please.
Please join me in prayer. Good morning, dearest Heavenly Father, Heavenly Parent and True Parents. We greet you this new day. We're always grateful to come together each morning to connect with you and to connect with our true parents and to connect with each other. We are very grateful to be living at this golden age, this time of great transition in human history, the coming to the establishment of Chongil Guk. So we grateful that we can be living at this time and be playing our part to support our true parents, our true mother, to establish Chongil Guk on this earth and in the spirit world. We think of we know that in this time of transition, there's also, of course, many challenges every day and throughout the world. There is so many things that cause great consternation and many people still suffering and many things to be overcome. We know that the great focus at the moment is for the reunification of the Korean Peninsula, and through that, the coming about of world peace. We know that this is not an easy path, and many things need to be overcome, but we are determined that this can happen, centering on our true mother. We pray for the events taking place at this time, especially currently the Asia Pacific think tank and think tanks taking place throughout the world, and as part of the World Summit, which is about to take place this month. We offer this prayer and report in the Mark and Masako birth of the Blessed Central Family. Adieu.
Thank you. Thank you. And let's give a warm welcome to Reverend Yutaka as he shares this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining this morning Hundoke. Today is also a beautiful morning. Let's put our sincere devotion and heart to our true parents and our heavenly parents. Yesterday, there was a Think Tank 2022 Forum second day. So there are several sessions. They are talking about media, business, and art and culture. So how was that? Did you attended that one? Yes, yesterday, because I was a moderator, so of course I'm joining every day, but yesterday, especially I focused more to listen everything. So yesterday discussion was also interesting discussion. So in the media session, they are talking about the topic of a reunification between North and South Korea unification, right? So yesterday media side, one person said, in order to fulfill the unification between North and South Korea, if one side, for example, North Korea, try to observe South Korea, or South Korea try to dominate or control North Korea, this situation, then surely it's not possible to fulfill between North and South Korea unification. That's why that person said, the best scenario, better North Korea give up themselves. Something like this. So his message is very direct. if the present Kim Il-sung government still there, then really not easy or difficult. So anyway, they can discuss freely and they can share any perspective and their topics. That's why through those questions, also we have to think what was the best scenario in order to fulfill the unification between North and South Korea. North Korean side come to South Korean side, or South Korean side have to go to North Korean side. What do you think? Which is best way? We are thinking through mother and also world cooperation. Then what was the best scenario? What kind of scenario do we have? What kind of process are we thinking? So yesterday, those questions and asking things was really interesting, and that was also great. And second session was the business part. That time I was moderator, and Reverend John was also moderator for Q&A session. So business group, we are thinking maybe they are talking about the business or economic matter, or how to develop some product or something between North and South Korea. So we are thinking in the beginning. I was thinking in the beginning, but through when this discussion was started, those business leaders' concept was sharing was really internal and very more deep. So Mr. Tom McDavid is the chairman of IAED. He also gave the beautiful speech. When Mother organized this group of IAED, International Association for Peaceful Economic Development, I think. So when Mother organized this one, actually the purpose of business is not only creating the profit, but also they will live for the higher purpose. So through creating the IAED, now more than few thousand business group is connected now with Trumada in the world level, and they are following and they really agree the vision of Trumada to create peace world in the society. So those cooperation, and some people also said the business is kind of the orchestral harmony, how we can create the harmony in order to fulfill the unification between North and South Korea. Mr. Tom McDavid also said UPF created the 8 pillar. This pillar is also representative of each field of the world, how we can cooperate, how create the peaceful reunification. So in order to success of business, without peace, it's impossible. And also some people said about the life and business, and even talking about the youth or young people's involvement. So when Reverend John did the moderator and gave the question and answer session, that time I found one interesting question. North Korea and South Korea, they are now standing and fighting each other with weapon or with some army, right? So which side have to give up or have to give it away to put down their weapon and army in order to unite North and South Korea? So what do you think? South Korean side have to give up first about American army to send back or military, or North Korean side have to put down their atomic bomb, or those things? We are standing one side. Of course, we will say our side cannot give up, right? So both sides is talking. Our own side, we cannot give up weapon, because if we give up, surely they will attack us. That's why those questions is also the interesting. How we can think more specifically or exactly. So maybe Reverend John can share later, because he was moderator this part. So this is really interesting. And the third one is art and culture. So third part, our Reverend Santosh was the speaker. So he shared several contents of the experience of Nepal, experience of Fiji and Korea, how can create the beautiful culture harmony and unity. So really centering on one topic, these contents become more developed and become really spread for the several area. So anyway, today is the third day of the Think Tank 2022 forum. We are talking many times about unification between North and South Korea. We know this topic, but depends on the speaker, depends on how we will think and accept. Then we can see the several new idea and new concept. So today, first one is this one, IAP, academia. So professor and teacher, so they are coming to share. And final session will be the closing session. So from our region is Honorable Anoteton will give the speech. So this is the final day. So I hope if you are available, please join together and really think again, put our heart again for unification between North and South Korea. So I hope today, Saturday, we will have a great time also. So let's see the Turmada's anthology, Global Unity through True Parents. Yesterday, we shared about Turmada's anthology to talk about only begotten daughter. In order for Turmada to stand on this earth, how God guided, how God prepared, and how Temonim's role was big, right? So let's see the next part today. Temonim is a person who spent her whole life seeking and attending the returning Lord. She opened up the environment through which you could be resurrected. She was the historic person who protected the family of God's only begotten daughter and gave birth to the only begotten daughter. So Temonim guided Turmada. And in order for Turmada to stand, Temonim's involvement and sacrifice always together with Turmada. So because Temonim guided Turmada, because of Temonim, Turmada could stand as the mother's position. That's why Mother is talking about Temonim actually resurrected us. Because of Temonim, Mother is here. Because of Turmada, we could meet also true parents and receive that blessing. So Temonim's life is not just separated. And Temonim's life is not only for true mother. Actually, Temonim's life also have an important role for our resurrection and our blessing, even our future. So mother is sharing also like this. When we see the mother's life course, dear mother's life course was so many challenging and severe situations from North Korea, South Korea, another Korean war. There are many kinds of things. So when we see the Jesus life course, also it was not easy. When we see the true father's life course, it was also not easy. So they are as the God child, only begotten son. They should have overcome a lot of challenging, even by being attacked by Satan so many times, but they should have overcome those situations. So survive, keep the life, and survive on this earth as the Messiah, as the God child is not simple things. True Father also mentioned many times, Satan tried to kill him many times. That's why have to protect, have to keep his life. This is one of the main role and mission for True Father. Not only just giving God's word, God's providence, and the blessing. Not only that, keep his life. Survive on this earth. This itself also was one of the main role or responsibility as Messiah. That's why Jesus, how was difficult? True Father was also how was difficult. Even True Mother also same. How was difficult in the small time when they are Messiah, when even they are only begotten son and daughter, but when they are children, childhood time, how they can fight Satan, how they can avoid those situations. That's why the protection, those persons who protect them and guide them, they are really important figure. So when we see the True Mother's life, Temonim is the one who guide and protect. Even Temonim is the one who fight with Satan behalf of True Mother at that moment. So we could see those things. Not just anyone could conduct Temonim's works. She is a person who made substantial preparation for the returning Lord. That is why there is no one comparable to Temonim. It is not an easy thing for a spirit person to work on earth. This required effort that you cannot even imagine. So when we read the True Mother's memoir last year, we share also Temonim's story. So when Temonim are preparing to meet the Messiah, that time Temonim was eating the pine tree's leaf, right? Leaf of pine tree, kind of a needle things. So Temonim was eating that one and offer the Chansong condition. And even she is doing the spiritual work from the spiritual world to support our all blessed family and our peoples. So we could see Temonim involvement and Chansong. What is the difference between one's nanny and one's actual mother? Anybody can say that the lineage and the heart are different, but I'd like to explain it like this. A nanny is a public figure. She cannot have personal emotions in the task entrusted to her. When Temonim gave birth to me, heaven told her, "You are her nanny." Temonim is a person who showed absolute faith. Temonim is a person who, throughout her entire life, never thought of herself. She is the one who knew the most about providential history, about the returning Lord, and about the status and position of true parents. So this is really big things. What is the difference? Nanny and physical mother. What is different? So nanny is, mother said, nanny is a public figure. Heaven directly guided and gave the mission as the nanny to take care on the only begotten daughter. That's why she didn't have any moment to think her own personal life. Totally her life from the beginning until the end, just to offer everything. So that life itself, really not simple or easy matter, but we could see Temonim involvement. So how about our breast center families? Do you remember what True Father told to ourselves, our breast families? When you have a second generation, when you have your children, they are not own children. They are God's child. That's why you are as the breast center family. You are parents, but you should be the one who take care of the God's child, behalf of God. This is really Father's message and educating us. So when we see our children, second generation or third generation, how about our attitude? Do we become 100% nanny's position, kind of the public position, totally deny our own personal thinking to take care of our children, or always thinking our concept first? Because we receive many education, many culture from our physical parents, even we recognize or even we don't recognize. When we see ourselves, somehow we are following the style of our physical father or physical mother, right? Can we find sometimes those nature? Even we say, I don't like this part of my physical father. I don't like this part of physical mother. But looks like we are also doing same things to our children. That's why Father mentioning many times, we are as the breast center of family, as the parents, we have to take care of our children as God's son and God's daughters. This word is simple, but this is very difficult things. How we can really deny ourselves, our nature, our experience, our own concept, and totally unite with God to educate our children. That's why when we see the temonym, totally live as the public figure, no personal concept, no personal life, just follow God's will to take care the true mother, the only begotten daughter. So mother's involvement or investment, temonym's involvement, temonym's determination to live for God's will was really great. Until last day, if father said, please go to the spiritual world area and to take responsible for the spiritual world to help the providence. So temonym's life from the first day, the beginning until the last day, totally offer everything. So mother is sharing of the temonym's life. So really when we see the temonym's life, we can learn and we can inherit her spirit, her determination, and also her life itself. So next, let's see the word of Cheonsongyeon. So yesterday, we had also shared about God. What kind of God do we meet? So yesterday was breakout session. So I believe you had a several discussion about God. So our group also we discuss about topic of God. What kind of God do we meet? So some brothers and sisters shared God is the magical God, right? We can see God through the nature. Yeah, this is true. And some people also say, when we become the parents and to take care of the children, we could recognize and understand the heart of God. How much God wanted to spend time with children, sons and daughters, to ideal family, to share the love. So through becoming the parents, we could understand God's heart. And also sometimes we are not easy to meet God personally. Maybe not easy to have a personal experience with God, but through our life, there are many kind of challenging, there are many kind of experience or feeling with my physical children or husband and wife or relationship with people. And we will feel many kind of different kind of emotion. That's why through recognize our feeling and emotion, this become also the opportunity to meet with God and find with God. So through preparing and sharing this session about God, I also think about God. So when we see our universe, everyone know God created this universe, right? And God created one man and one woman. So have you imagined the story of Garden of Eden? God created Adam and Eve. Maybe Adam was baby also. Eve was baby at that moment in Garden of Eden. There is nothing, no building and no car and no kind of the hospital. That moment there is tree, there is mountain, maybe lake, or many kind of animal, and also beautiful grass, sunshine, and sunrise, stars, moon. We could see all natures. But how did they grow up? Baby Eve, they together with animals. So there, when we imagine those story, that is also interesting. How there was someone who take care the baby Adam and baby Eve. Of course, archangel, but we know archangel doesn't have the physical body, right? So we could see that moment. God created Adam and Eve, one man and one woman. And after that, we could see the history of human beings. They grow up, they prepare many kind of development material. They created house, they learn how to take care of the food, field, create the rice, and finally they develop the style to eat, house, tool, and they discover the many things. And when we see the current situation, how about our life? Totally different. Our life compared with the Garden of Eden time. We are using the computer, we are using smartphone and living in the comfortable house. So when we think about God blueprint, actually which level actually God created, prepared the blueprint? Do you think God, when God created Adam and Eve, at that moment, inside of God's blueprint, already God created, or God had imagined of this computer, or this kind of smartphone, or this kind of really the car or houses, or not? That's why I really wonder, God's blueprint, until which level God had a blueprint and preparation. So every day, our human beings is created the new things. So before, people just walking by own self, but they started to use the cow, they started to use the horse, and suddenly people are using the motorcycle, bicycle, and car, and suddenly people created the airplane and to fly to the sky. So when we see the God's point of view, every moment our children is creating the new things and new material and creating the new development. How God was also excited. The past parents, for example, Newton or Einstein or Light brothers and sisters, their parents maybe never expected their children created new things, right? But their children discover and created new material. So we are living the special moment together with God. And really, this is exciting. When we see our children, what kind of expectation did you have? Just we are having the same expectation what we are living current situation. When we see your grandchildren, what kind of expectation or imagination do you have? Just ordinary life or similar life with us? But actually, who know our children, our grandchildren will create totally different material or different things which we never imagined. So when we see the God's history, when we see our human history, really every year, new things is coming. New things was developed. That's why I'm wonder how God's blueprint there. This is everything under blueprint, or really human beings as the creator, even we are creating beyond the God's blueprint. So when we see our God and our human beings, this was really exciting. So even my 3 years daughter, 3 years old daughter, she know how to open the iPhone. She know how to watch the YouTube Kids, and she know how to touch the game by herself. That's why really we don't know how human beings potential or possibility is there. So now Father is sharing about God. So God, we had this God himself. We are learning about God, but the more think, more we play, the more we will feel, we can get realization, and we can get the inspiration. That's why Father's word have a special spiritual power. How we can pray, learn, and get the answer from God's word. So I will read this. God is a personal God, having the emotion, intellect, and will. Above all, this personal God desires love. So he created human beings as his object partners of love. Christian theology states that the Creator is sacred and his creatures are lowly. But this cannot be the whole story in light of the ideal of partnership, for the fulfillment of which God absolutely needs to find an ideal object partner of love. Since God is divine, the object partner of love, whom this divine being is seeking also has to be divine. This is the basis for the privilege and authority of human beings. So many religion is talking about God. And among the many religion, Christianity is talking, God is Heavenly Father. So when we see the religion has the several standard or standing point. Father said, some religion is the archangel position, some religion is the adopted child position, some religion is the direct children position. So Father mentioned the Christianity is the central religion and highest religion, and Christianity is the adopted child religion. So when we see their theory, they are talking about the relationship between God and child is father and son, but this children's position is not direct child, the adopted child position, because lineage is different, which Father is talking about. So Christianity even mentioning about God's existence, but the relationship between God and human beings, this concept is totally different. That's why our true parents introduced God to us. God is our parents. We are the children. We are the direct children. And we should become the better than God. This concept, this sharing itself was actually totally kind of a revolutionary concept. So through following our true parents and learning through parents and experience our God, our relationship become more closer and closer and closer. And we can find also God's real happiness, God's real wishes, and God's real heart to each of us and each of our human beings and each of this universe. So today we are sharing about Mother's message about Temonim and also message about God. Each single moment is the special moment and really creating the history. We don't know who can really bring the special big changing moment in our life, even in our human society. God is always working together with us, and God gave the special things to each of us. Even maybe some of us didn't recognize yet, but God gave the special things which another person cannot do. So during our lifetime, what kind of special talent can we find? Even you are already 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, but God's specialty is together with us. We should not give up until last day. We don't know how God will guide us to create or develop our life, even our life of human beings. So through prayer and learning and together with our true parents, really let's create the beautiful world and beautiful future. So today is the February 3. There are many kind of things and many kind of God's work is waiting for us. Let's have a great moment to offer the happiness and great blessing. Thank you very much once again to join this Fundoke. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you, Reverend Yutaka, as always, to share so deeply with us and to help us, really reflect each morning about God's heart and our relationship with Him and with each other. And as Reverend Yutaka mentioned, he moderated the IAED session yesterday, and I looked after the question and answers, and he pointed out one question that was interesting about who should denuclearize first, or minimize the threat. And it was posed, you have the troops that are in the south is there, and you have, because just recently Korea tested missiles again, flexing its muscles. It doesn't, and so the question was asked: should America remove its troops so to reduce the threat, or should they give up their nuclear arms so that South Korea could feel less threatened? And it was interesting how the business people responded. They didn't talk about giving up. They took it from a different perspective. One was mentioning that because it was the troops are in the south, that the north had nowhere to go. It was like back to a corner. It had nothing at the end of the world wars. The poor nations, and you have all of this military might from Russia and America on the Korean Peninsula, and so Korea reacted. So they took it from an interesting perspective, not worrying about who should give up arms, but more interested about how to create peace, and that the businesses should focus on how to create harmony, how to create a dialogue between the North and the South, so that they didn't feel threatened. And so if the focus is on peace, then it would defuse the so-called threat and minimize the risk. So it's just interesting that all of the people seem to talk about how to transcend and to be transparent, be trustworthy, to really focus on supporting and helping bringing about a business that actually builds up the nation. So it's just a different perspective, because I'm used to businesses just worrying about getting a profit, and these experts in business weren't interested about gaining a profit. They were more interested about giving a better standard and helping to find the point of harmony. And then if they focused on that, then it would automatically bring about the unification of North and South Korea. And so have lots of people with their hands up, so I'll just go over to them. So thank you, everyone. First up is Doug. Go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you, Reverend Yutaka. You always amaze me with your points. Today, I was especially touched when you talked about the individual and God's love for the individual. It made me think of Mary and I watched 2 days ago, one single young Christian man. He had a little backpack on him, and he ran across the lawn, and a little motor behind him pushed a parasail. By himself, he sailed 17,500 feet up into the air, and it was all videotaped. But it just shows the uniqueness and the creativity of the individual. And but what I really wanted to talk about was this. Yesterday, I woke up and I was in pain. I just felt so much pain. I don't usually feel disconnected, but I felt very much that True Mother is in tremendous pain. And I didn't know if things weren't going well. I didn't know what it was about. I just felt that there was a great concern and worry. And sort of like she was worried about the incompleteness of what's going on, of our understanding, of our collective understanding. Our most important responsibility is to understand. So that stayed with me pretty much a lot during the day. And then in the breakout group, I got so excited about seeing Chris, Bruce and Debbie that I started getting into, what's your email and this and that. So we didn't talk about God. Our breakout group just didn't get completed. It sort of was left hanging somewhere. And then I got on the internet and everything I did was I was censored. I'm very excited about what I see happening in Canada and throughout the world, India and so many places. And I was just censored. Now, if I wanted to pass on a post about pancakes, I wasn't censored. But whenever I touched anything political, censored. So I was really kind of upset about that and sad. But then, I mean, to drive home the point, they took down our telephone pole yesterday. I kid you not. They took down our telephone pole. Talk about being censored. Power pole. Talk about being censored. I mean, that's going too far. No, actually, they had to do work and they cut our electricity. And we really wanted to support, all the speakers and be there for the think tank yesterday. But that just confused our entire day. And we got on intermittently and we were doing anything but anything. We had no electric in the house. So that's what happened. But the pain of what I was feeling is about this. God is not working just from the top through Think Tank 22. God is working from the bottom up. And we're seeing a transformation of the world by reaching out to both. So yesterday was a celebrated day of leadership, coming to understand more about true parents. It wasn't so much new to us, the things that they were discussing, but it was new to the people that they were reaching. So that was very, very good. But on the other hand, I'm made to think of this very important experience in 2011 at the height of the Arab Spring. True Father got quite excited. We were in Las Vegas and he got quite excited. He was talking about the Arab Spring. And he said, this will go all the way to Asia, And I waited for that day for 10 years. And I never connected it as to the sequence of how it's unfolding. The Arab Spring was the multitudes of people in the Holy Land, North Africa, all the way to Western Asia. All these people were in flux. They were protesting, and Father was quite excited about this. And they were standing up against powerful corruptions, and they wanted improvement. But now with hindsight, 10 years later, we can look back and say, well, look at this. The Arab Spring basically took place in the Holy Lands of Western Asia. And it was a transformation that began and it sputtered out. It began again, sputtered out, began, sputtered. It was like trying to start an engine, getting it going. It's still underway. 10 years later, we're still feeling the repercussions of all the changes that took place in Western Asia and Northern Africa. Same thing started 7 years later in America in 2017, okay? A great change took place in America where we began to see our corruptions just previous to reaching its 400th year. And it looks like it sputtered out and it starts again, it sputtered out, starts again. It's trying to get an engine started, but the rise of people, the common man, is happening all around the world. Father noted this, True Father noted this, that it would take place starting in the Arab Spring and go all the way to Asia. But in hindsight, now we can look back and see that these are the Holy Lands, the Holy Land of what's known as the Middle East, and then the Holy Land of the USA, the pilgrims, and the rising of people and finding their values and restoring themselves back to God. These are major things and developments taking place. So I was so excited to share many of the testimonies that I saw taking place in Canada, even the unity of people between Canada and the United States, the unity between people of Canada, the United States, and Mexico, unity between potential unity of North America and South America. But watching all these protests and all these people speaking out against corruption and trying to find themselves centered on the family and maintaining the individual rights that God gave us without being taken over by elite controlled governments, you know? All this is happening before our eyes. And I feel like True Mother is in pain because we don't collectively understand what's going on. We can't even speak about it. But now, as Father said, Arab Spring is going to go to Asia. We are on the very cusp of seeing this change, not cups, John, cusp. We are on the very edge of seeing in the next 2 years, probably, these protests come to the Holy Land in Korea, in Asia. And the people, no illegitimate government in Chinese history or in Asian history has ever been brought down without the power of the peasants, without the power of the common man. And in protest, like Martin Luther King style, a peaceful protest is awakened, and we need to be connected to that understanding. And I felt that that's what I was suffering from, this disconnect that we have over the importance of the rise of the common man. And we should be so grateful because people will rise up in Asia. They'll rise up in every nation there. And it's a collective worldwide. The Holy Spirit is moving in people's hearts, moving them toward God and causing them to disengage from corruption and the corrupt governments. And these two things are so important for us to understand. The change by heaven is from the top and the bottom, you know, and we need to recognize more clearly what's happening on the mass roots level, the grassroots level, the groundswell that's building, the 1/3 of the population of mankind, 2.8 billion people. So anyway, thank you very much for letting me share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you. Next we have Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. Just quickly, yeah, there's a very good example of how to bring peace in North Korea, and that was done by Donald Trump. And that was done by a few things. So just quickly, on the questions raised, it's the United Nations or a world body's responsibility to see who should disarm, and that should come from whoever is the initiator of aggression. So even as you raise up a child, North Korea has to be shown you are the aggressor, so you must take initiative in de-arming. So secondly, when Donald Trump went to North Korea, the first thing he did was promise protection from China. So North Korea is heavily influenced by China. So if you have a child who is acting aggressively, there's often aggressive influence behind them. So that's the second point. And the third thing he did was he took a video that very looked like something our church had produced, an Asian style video of how North Korea could become economically successful. So as those business people talked about, it's not about disarming, it's about offering North Korea an opportunity to be affluent and protection from evil influences. So the example is there, and I'm sure that those people know that. And anyway, that's my opinion on what should happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Also, now go to Reverend Seti, who has his hand up. Go ahead.
Good morning, Reverend Itaka, brothers and sisters. I was just following on with what Doug was saying about Arab Spring. Yeah, you can see that Samoa's had this Arab Spring too. This last election, as the common people stood up and basically shut down all the big families that were running Samoa, you know, and the monopoly of power that's been there for a while. And likewise, I think New Zealand's also had that with the MMPE system of, you know, letting any Tom and Dick and Harry make a political party. It's quite a unique system, but somehow now everyone's got a voice, down there in New Zealand, and the government they got at the moment is because of that, and Donald Trump too. With the he really broke the mold. Well, it started with Obama, I guess, but yeah, the common people standing up and getting their voices out. Yesterday, I posted something from the BBC when they gave a what do it's called interview with Gorbachev. He's quite elderly now, but it's just amazing that he sounded like he was like a saint, you know, like an old saint, because they were asking him about this Ukraine business, you know, this talk of war between NATO and America and Russia. And he just said, you know, yes, there's always these people who want conflict as a resolution. But what he found when he was leader was that when he went around all of Russia, all the small towns and things, they told him that they can deal with all the hardships of, you know, poverty and that, but they never ever want another war. And this was the main point that he stressed, was that the Russian people are sick of war. And so it was just amazing. I just felt like, you know, this amazing peace leader had, you know, had that kind of almost saintly heart, and these people are out there. So I'm just taking up on what Doug was talking about, that we got to keep doing these, keep talking at all the different levels, talking our peace talks. Blessed are the peacemakers, you know, and everything, it'll, through the dialogue, through the give and take, something will give. Yeah, but we just got to keep doing. So God bless for today's sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Seti. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, let's put peace and God as a priority. It's time now for us to offer our unison prayers. I'll just share the screen and we can pray together. Arju, Arju, Arju. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. It was really great to see Reverend Utaka as a moderator. It was really good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and also
John.
John.
And John.
So excited.
And Kenji.
When we go. Right.
And Santosh.
Yeah.
Razak, you got to get on to those moderating and things like that.
Yeah.
Your next city.
Yeah.
Chris can be a speaker too.
And Doug.
And Doug. Okay, the people talk.
And then some women as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Have a blessed
Bye.
day, you all.